Hey there guys, Dominic's here. So I'm mainly making this video as a visual aid to show off a concept that I feel could be brought from another game into WoW for the Retribution Paladin. I am by no means a professional when it comes to making videos, so this video is going to be unscripted, unedited. It's going to be in one take. So forgive me for the poor audio quality or any rambling or any stumbling over my words or anything like that. I'm sorry now, but I wanted to make the video rather than make a mile long Reddit post that nobody cares to read and it just goes by the wayside. So I myself have been a Paladin main from BC, I'd say up until about the end of Legion. I used to love playing my Paladin. I was always a Prot and Ret main back and forth. But once Legion started rolling around, I just didn't really have as much fun with Ret as I used to. My biggest problems with the spec were that it was just two glass cannon. It felt like I was super squishy and couldn't survive anything after my big burst window. I'd either have to kill somebody or I'd die. And then being as immobile as the Paladin is, it doesn't help that either. So, and I know that's not an uncommon sentiment amongst the Paladin community. I know that a lot of people, myself included, had hoped that Dragonflight, with the return of the talent trees and all of that, would maybe bring back fan favorites like Long Arm of the Law and Speed of Light and things like that. But Blizzard kind of came out and squashed that whole thing right away. Pretty much said, we're not doing that, and Divine Steed is here to stay. Personally, I'm not completely against Divine Steed. I kind of like the theme around it, but I understand why people don't like it. It's got a lot of flaws. It's on a 45-second cooldown for 2 seconds. It feels nowhere near enough. And this is kind of where I'm hoping that this idea might help change the perspective, because maybe if the steed does a little bit more, then maybe people might not hate it as much. And that's kind of where Lancelot from Smite, a third-person MOBA based around gods and heroes and villains of old mythology, came into play. He was recently released this year, and his entire kit revolves around mounted horseback combat. And that's where I thought, okay, maybe something like this in WoW could work really well. And my main focus was on Ret, but I could see some of this being brought over to the entire spec as a whole, but I think more of the abilities and the damage and all of that should be a Ret thing. First off, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to go through the kit and kind of show it as it is in Smite, and then I'm going to go over how I think it could be implemented into WoW. And the second thing, I'm not saying that this needs to be a one-for-one copy. There are certain things that Hi-Rez did to balance out the character that I don't know how well it would work in WoW, and I don't know. I wouldn't know until they implemented it. So while I may bring up something that Hi-Rez has done, it's not me saying that it needs to be done in WoW. I just want to be clear on that. So we're going to ignore the first two abilities because he has two sets of abilities, one when he's off of his horse and one when he's on. His third ability is what actually mounts him up on his horse. So one thing, a few notable things right off the bat with the horse. It does not stop moving forward. And it doesn't stop moving forward because you have a limited turn radius. This was a way of balancing the horse out, because you do get passive movement speed increase when you're on the horse. It's part of the whole reason he's on the horse. Those were just a few balancing points, and the horse actually has a way of being dismounted. So if you watch the green health bar down below, when I hit the mount button, you'll see this shield kind of pop up, and that is essentially the horse's health. When that shield hits 0, I'm automatically dismounted from the horse. There are a few other ways, but that is a way for other players to get you off the horse. Now, when you're in the mounted combat, you have two abilities that you can use. It is a spectral line. It's a spectral horse that dashes in a line and does damage. And then the second ability is like this leaping overhead slam that he does. And those are two ways of getting off the horse by yourself as Lancelot. Now, he also has his ultimate, which is a giant dash where it deals a lot of damage by anybody that he hits. He can control it fully when you're on it. It's mainly just a big damage dealer, and that's really about it on the horse combat. Now, the way that I could see it being implemented into WoW is when you hit E for your Divine Steed, you are immediately mounted on your horse. When you're on the horse, maybe you can't move, or you can't stop moving. I don't know, like some of this is still, I'm not 100% sure how it would feel unless we tried it in WoW. I don't know how the turn radius restrictions would feel, or it being forced to constantly be moving. But when it comes to how long the duration lasts and how long the horse, how much health it has, I think you could go one of two ways, because I know WoW doesn't really have that many abilities that you just kind of toggle on, and they'll either stay until you cancel it or do something else. I know a lot of them, they have a buff duration, so either you could go the route of you hit the Divine Steed, and for 10 seconds you are on the horse. You get the passive movement speed increase, and you can use the abilities if you want to, or you can not use them and get the full duration of the movement speed. The other thing that I can think of is the horse does in fact get a shield for its health, and it does not have a duration. You can stay on the horse and keep going on the horse until either you dismount or the horse loses all its health. I think if you do that, it just comes down to balancing what feels right for the paladins not to get messed or screwed over because, oh, I have a warlock who has a dot on me and I immediately lost my horse. One thing that I think would help with balance on that part is maybe for the first 2 seconds while you're on the horse, you cannot take, the shield does not take damage, your character does, and then after the 2 seconds, that's when the shield will start taking damage. I think that'll just be a way of kind of balancing the whole dot situation, because it would kind of feel bad if you mount up on your horse and then before you even get a full second out, it's dismounted because that warlock just happened to have dots on you, or somebody got a lucky cast off right then and there and immediately blew up your horse. I think a 2-second window where your horse has immunity but you take the damage, I think would be a good way of balancing that. But then keeping it where you can use it indefinitely, because the horse won't be able to regain health or shield after it's taken the damage. You'll only be able to get that health back if you dismount, wait the cooldown period, and then remount. And if Blizzard really wanted to, this could be either Ret has special abilities only for when they're on the mount, or they could just make this as their new standard mobility, and they can use their entire kit when they're on the horse. I think personally, I'm kind of on the fence. I think it would be cool to be able to just stay on the ground and do all your normal fighting, and then have special abilities while you're on the horse. But I also think it would be kind of cool to be running around on a horse, just doing your whole kit. For the ultimate, we already kind of have that in the PvP talents. You know, you charge at somebody with the Divine Steed, it'll knock them back, do damage. I think maybe just doing something like that as a baseline with this idea in mind wouldn't be a bad idea, or make it a special charge on the horse if it's going to be a horse only ability. Make it a third ability that they can do is they'll charge for a short period. It shortens the cooldown, or it deals damage to the horse to justify the balancing of it. Because if you're going to be able to do damage and continue to stay on the horse afterwards, I think there needs to be some kind of balance there. So either it maybe shortens if we're going to go on a buff duration theory, then it takes 2 seconds off the end. Or if it's on the shield, the horse takes damage in the process. These are just a few ways that all of this can be implemented. And I wanted to just throw it all out there so that way maybe it could get a conversation started. It could get maybe some eyes on it from Blizzard. Who knows? But this video is already getting on to 12 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Tell me what you think. Comment down below. Do whatever. I'm not a YouTuber, so don't subscribe. I don't ever upload, and if I do, it's for a very niche reason. I hope you guys have a good night, and thank you for watching.